This week on the High Limit Room, Justin Peck joins the show to talk all kinds of things in 2026, including the switch from Ford back to Chevy Motors, his new crew chief for 2026, and his chances at winning a big race this season with Interstate Batteries High Limit Racing. Let's get into it. Before we get to Justin Peck, there are a lot of things to watch on FloRacing this upcoming weekend. That's why you need to get your subscription right now. The All-Star Circuit of Champions are in action for the first time in 2026. They get their season underway at the Attica Raceway Park in Ohio on Friday and Saturday. I believe they are both $5,000 to win shows over there. They've got a really good field of drivers that'll be racing full-time with them. I want to say they have 12 or 13, maybe 14 drivers racing full-time this season with the All-Stars, so make sure to check them out on Friday and Saturday. Also, you cannot forget about NARC After Dark, which will be racing at the Silver Dollar Speedway for the Mini Gold Cup, which pays $10,000 to win on the finale on Saturday night. They race on Friday as well. And NARC After Dark, I feel like their headquarters is Chico. That is going to be one you cannot miss. Also, if you don't like the wings, or maybe you like both, but you want to watch some non-wing action as well, USAC is underway at Lawrenceburg on Friday, and the Terre Haute Action Track on Saturday as well. So a doubleheader with USAC, and then it is not dirt racing, but it is sprint car racing. This weekend on Friday night, you have to be paying attention to the Race for the Million Pavement Sprint Car Race, which goes on at Five Flags Speedway in Florida this upcoming weekend. 53 pavement sprint cars are signed in. It is a $30,000 to win feature over there. You can watch all of that and more on FloRacing, the Race for the Million, NARC, All-Stars, USAC, all of it. Friday and Saturday on FloRacing. Get that subscription. You will not regret it. I promise you that. Now, before we get to Justin Peck, I want to say thank you to our partners at Eclipse Claims, Eclipsing Insurance Tactics, and Protecting Your Payout. Eclipse Claims Consulting, an official partner of High Limit Racing. All right, welcome back to the High Limit Room. This week joined by high roller Justin Peck. And Justin, I wore my Rudine blue hat and shirt here just for you today. So hopefully you enjoyed. But hey, how's the season gone for you guys so far? Got that couple wins with the ASCS to start things out in Arizona. Struggled a little bit there the first couple of high limit shows, but the last race out of Route 66 got a podium. Looks like things might be turning around in the right direction for you guys.
I hope you're right, Chase. I don't know. It just, we switched a lot of stuff around on our program this year. Like we've got, right now we're running a completely different engine package, top to bottom. Like, the first 4 or 5 engines we have in line right now are nothing that we ran at all last year. I mean, it's all new stuff to us. And, our wings are different. Our shocks are different. Crew chief's different. So it's just, I think it's just kind of taken us a little bit to really kind of gel and kind of get an understanding of our new package, So hopefully, hope we're moving things in the right direction. I hate starting off with, we didn't even make a dash to like the 8th race of the year. So that really sucks. But, throughout most of that, I never really felt like we were all that bad. I just never felt like we were that good either. So, just like I said, just kind of fine tuning stuff and trying to get a little better each night. Like, when you run with the high limit and Outlaws the same way, like you got to be on kill, from the time you go out on a racetrack for hot laps to the time the checker flag flies. And if you're not, then you're going to run 12th. And that's kind of what we did to start the year. I mean, we were like pretty much, I think we had 11th, 13th, 7th, 11th, 13th, 9th, 10th. Like it just wasn't very good. So it felt good to get on the podium and make a dash on that last high limit race out. So hopefully we just carry that on to the next couple.
Justin, you just kind of went down the list of stuff you guys have changed, and you and I spoke on the trailer drop gate at Vegas, and you said the same thing. A lot of the stuff that you felt like you needed to work on, you guys did work on, and you made some changes. I want to ask you about a few of those different things, namely, Tyler Tessmaker, not leaving Rudine Racing, but stepping away from the 26 high limit team. But I want to get to that in a minute. I want to talk about the engine change. A lot was made for a long time about Kevin and the team, running Ford engines. And for a long time, it was really just the 26 and Donnie Schatz at TSR on a national level. Then, early to midway through last year, TSR announces, they're stepping away from the Ford, leaving you guys the only, big national team that I knew of running a Ford engine. So it's kind of a multi-fold question here, but you guys were on your own. Ron Shaver's doing those engines. You and I spoke, Kevin and I spoke. Everybody felt like they were, getting all the attention on the Ford side of things, and you guys were beginning to really, really speed up the development of that engine. So when you step away from the Ford and now you're back on Chevys, is it hard? Did you feel like, oh, we were really gaining some ground with the Ford. We liked what it was doing for us. And then just, everybody knows the Chevy engine. So, do you feel better going back to an engine that you probably have a lot of experience in and the pit area just knows a lot more about? I guess just where are your thoughts on the engine program with Rudine Racing right now?
Well, I think we're better off right now than we were when we ended last year. Like, when we ended last year, well, I mean, so we went down to Charlotte. We had one Ford engine and we popped it the very first qualifying session. So all of a sudden now, what we're thinking we're going to be on this Ford package. We don't even have one, so now we're putting a Chevy back in that, to be completely fair, I mean, all of that Chevy stuff really just kind of sat under the workbench at the shop for a couple, 2 years really. And then we're trying to throw them in and run them, and they just really weren't up to snuff. They just needed updated and freshened up and just worked on and stuff. And, we took that time over the winter to kind of upgrade our stuff. We bought some engines, bought some Charlie Garrett engines. We sent some of our Speedway stuff, sent it back to Speedway. Trenton Schaefer with SPE, doing some engines for us and kind of rebuilt some stuff for us. And like, we've got new engines on order with him now. We don't have one yet, but so I guess what I'm trying to say is we have a more depth of engines now. Like we've got, I don't know, 5 or 6 of them sitting at the shop now, in cars or out of cars, under the cabinet, whatever it is. So I'm happy in that aspect. I think we're better off just as far as the depth of stuff that we have, but just kind of the fine tuning stuff is really what we're working on. Like, like I've never really worked with Trenton before. And as far as our Speedway stuff goes, like it's still kind of in the process of getting updated and developed and that kind of stuff. And like we've only put one night on the Garrett stuff, but even then I don't really know where that stuff's at yet either. So we're just kind of trying to go through all of our stuff and just try to really understand where it's at. Cause even though it's all Chevy stuff, I've got basically three different engine builders doing our stuff at the moment. So it's like, each one takes a little different stacks and they feel things a little bit different, and they've got different ejections and different heads and different combinations of stuff in them. So trying to understand that has kind of been the hardest part. I don't feel like we're 100% yet on our engine program. And to be completely fair, I don't know if we will feel 100%. Like I'm not saying that none of our stuff runs bad, but just as far as like knowing how to detune each engine properly, and knowing like the racetracks that each engine's going to run good at, or like this engine runs really good in dirty air, this engine runs really good in good air, or not dirty air, I'm sorry, but this engine runs good in bad air, this engine runs good in good air. Like that's kind of the hard part that we've been fighting. And I feel like we kind of fought that a little bit when we were at like Casa Grande, right? So it's like really bad air. You got to run mufflers. Well, I know that our SPE stuff we took to Volusia and it ran phenomenal, but it was on open headers. The air is really good. You go to New Mexico and you're up above 7,000 feet, and I've got mufflers on the thing, and I could not get it to run when I lifted. Like when I qualified, it was fine because you're not really lifting. You're maybe lift to half throttle at most. Same in the heat race. Well, then you go out for the feature and you're running around the bottom, and all of a sudden you start lifting almost completely out of the throttle. Well, I couldn't get going again until I got like halfway down the straightaway. So just little bits like that of trying to understand like why these things are happening. And like really it just comes down to time and spending time on the dyno and trying to get your stuff ironed out the way you want it to. But, I think we're on the right track now with our engine stuff. I think it's just a matter of working the bugs out and kind of, like I said, new crew chief too. Like he's not worked with this stuff either. So I think it's just a matter of time before we get it all dialed in. And I like the direction that we're going. You don't always see it in the results right away, but I was kind of running some numbers with Brandon, my new crew chief, the other day. Like our qualifying average at this time in the year last year was worse than it is now. Like so now we're doing better by like almost a fourth position in qualifying. Our feature finish is better by I think it's 2 positions maybe, and our heat race finishes are better by at least a position again. So there is improvements. It's not like substantial yet, but it will get there. And I think just the more we get to work with Trenton Schaefer, he'll be doing a lot of our engine stuff. I think the better we'll get as far as the qualifying stuff goes. And the more I get to work with Brandon, the better off we'll be in the racing.
Now, that's quite the explanation there about the motors. I don't think that the average fan, really understands everything that goes into it, going to different tracks and elevations and the mufflers and all that kind of stuff. That every single night it can change what you need to do differently. So that was a good explanation there. You mentioned Brandon there, Brandon Hickman, your crew chief this year. Last year it was Tyler Tessemaker, as Tony alluded to earlier. He obviously still works for Kevin Rudeen. He's with Levi Hillier now. It's kind of a two-part question. Number one, what was the swap? Why did that whole thing take place? Why did we go from Tessemaker to Brandon Hickman? And then when it comes to Brandon, what was his background? I know last year he worked on the team, but as far as being a crew chief, has that been something that he has done in the past before with somebody else? Because I don't remember his name exactly being around, at least on the Outlaw or the High Limit side of things.
Yeah, so I guess I'll start by answering the Tyler part. I guess just as a whole, it's a little different the way that Rudeen Racing kind of operates, right? It's not exactly like most sprint car teams operate, I guess I would say. Like, it's obviously pretty big in the sense of, like, we have multiple teams, right? We have my team that's based out of here in Indiana, and then we have Levi Hillier's team, which is based out of Washington right now. So, and then on top of that, right, so we've got Tony, our COO, who's involved, kind of like the day-to-day operation stuff. And then we also have Kevin, who's also highly involved, right? He's our car owner. We talk to him a lot also. But there's just a lot of moving parts. And I just guess as a whole, everyone kind of felt like for the betterment of Rudeen Racing as a whole, like, Levi's about to be 16 years old, right? Like, he's getting ready to go on the road. So he needed a guy to come fill in that role while Tyler's obviously been around forever, and he's been involved with Rudeen forever, so they have a lot of trust in him. So he got moved over there kind of to fill that role that Levi needed. And then on our front, that obviously left a gap in our crew guys, when Tyler left. So we ended up just hiring my brother to fill Brandon's role as car chief and move Brandon up to crew chief. Brandon's been with Rudeen for 5 or 6 years now. And he's obviously, like, before that, he did the Outlaw stuff with a couple different teams and did the High Limit stuff with Rudeen, obviously, and was there for the All-Star stuff. So, Brandon's got a lot of experience working on cars and kind of just seeing how operations are run. So everyone kind of felt comfortable with him going in that role of running the race team and being that crew chief. And I felt comfortable working with all the guys that we've already got. And then obviously, like I said, hiring my brother to fill that role is kind of nice, at least for me, right? Because I'm already trusted him. He's already worked on my stuff for most of my lifetime and all his lifetime, really. So, I just kind of felt like Brandon moving up was going to be a good call. He's very meticulous and kind of a clean freak. So I think that kind of goes a long way when you're trying to get your whole program organized in the way you want it to. And, we all kind of knew over the winter when we were all having these meetings about all these things that were going to change. And we all just kind of had talked about it. Like, I can't say that we're going to necessarily set the world on fire right out of the gate with this kind of change in personnel going on. And then on top of that, change in the motor program and all that stuff. But, at the end of the day, we all kind of were looking at it as we feel like these are the right moves and the necessary moves that need to be made for long-term success. And if we can, figure it out this first half of the year, by the second half of the year, we feel like we could be pretty close to 100% where we feel like we should be. So that was kind of the move, or that was at least kind of the thought process behind those two things.
Chase actually asks pretty much everything I was going to ask. Like I said, I wanted to talk about Tyler Tessemaker, but with everything, involved in that question and answer, why'd the transition happen? We knew he went back to Washington to help out Levi, but, to what extent and why was that decision made? So that pretty much, covers, the questions I had on that. So I want to move to the other guy you talked about right there. Your brother comes over to work on the Rudeen 26, and you and him and I were standing around talking about this back in the pits at Amarillo when we were trying not to get blown off our feet. But clearly, I don't think it takes a lot of guessing. I'm a huge IndyCar fan. I love the Indianapolis 500. I moved to Indianapolis for IndyCar racing. So your brother came from working for one of the biggest and most well-known teams of the last 10 years in IndyCar in McLaren Racing. It was Schmidt-Peterson. It was Arrow McLaren for a little bit, and you and him and I were kind of going around on that. Give us kind of, your brother Travis's, short story. He worked on your stuff, it sounds like, but then how does he find himself in IndyCar? What did he do there? And, I got to imagine he's pretty excited to be back in a form of racing as great as IndyCar is, nothing is as pure and as simple and as raw as sprint car racing. So just give us a little bit of the short story on your brother.
Yeah. So, like growing up, obviously, like I was driving for my family for a while. It was always like just me and pops, and Travis was involved in a lot of that. I mean, he kind of had his own thing going on, like he was playing baseball or basketball or something like that, and he tried to drive for a little bit. He just wasn't a huge fan of it. He kind of like working on it more. Like playing like the normal sports a little bit better too. So anyway, so like we were racing, Dad and I would like go race on the weekend, and Travis would go, to a baseball tournament or something on the weekend. But then like, we'd go to school during the week, and then he'd come back and want to work in the shop with us. And then as he got to that, he kind of got to that point where he was burnt out playing sports. And like by the end of high school, he'd finish school, and then, he'd come work with me or whatever it was over the summer. Eventually he got a job with, who was it? It was, he went to work for McGee for a while. I was kind of bouncing in between rides. Like I didn't really have a full-time ride at the time. So he went and worked with, I believe it was Zeb. I believe Zeb was driving the McGee car, like on the All-Star stuff. And, that would have been like 2020, I think. And then 2021, like when the summertime hit, he came to work with me at the 13 car, with Book. And then that would have been like his junior year, I think. So then 2022 would have been his senior year. He graduated and he went to work with KKR. He worked on the 9 car with Casey driving, and moved to North Carolina, did all that once he graduated high school. And he had just come home like over the wintertime, like they had like their 2 weeks off or something. So he came home back to Indiana, and Billy Vincent was actually my parents' neighbor at the time. And he was working at McLaren, and he started talking to Travis about, oh, you need to come do IndyCar. Like we've got some job openings, this and that. And Travis kind of just went in there. And I've never talked to him about it. He didn't really want to go to IndyCar. He wanted to stay working for Casey, but like he kind of went in there and just like was looking at the shop and talked to some of the people there, and they offered him a job before he left, and he told us about it. He said it's something he really can't turn down. So that would have been 22 at the end of 22. So 2023, he started working for McLaren, and he was at the time he was a front end mechanic on Alexander Rossi's car, and he was an outside rear tire changer also on pit stops. And he did that for, I guess that would have been 23. 23 and 24. And then 25, he would have been with Pato Award. He got moved over to Pato Award's car and became a rear end mechanic, and he was still changing the outside rear tire and stuff on Pato's car. But like throughout that time, he kept saying he wanted to come back sprint car racing, and me and my dad kept telling him, don't do it. Like just stay where you're at. 'Cause, I mean, those guys get paid pretty well, and like they get all the benefits and like the retirement and all that. And he didn't care. He said, okay, I'm done. He finally said, at the end of the year, I'm done. And it just kind of was a perfect storm. Like we really weren't hiring anybody, and then it kind of all came about. Like he put in his notice that he's leaving as a 30-day notice. Well, like right at the end of that 30 days, it was like, okay, we need to hire somebody. Who are we going to get? Oh, okay, well, this is going to work out pretty good. Like all of a sudden, here's my brother who needs a job, and we needed to hire a guy. He's obviously a good mechanic, so I was like, okay, it was just easy to snag him. So now he's back sprint car racing. In true, if you knew my brother, in true Travis fashion, he was super excited about it. And then the very first trip, he had something to bitch about. So I think he's still excited about being on sprint car stuff. But I know he keeps saying there's pros.
So he was the front end mechanic and the rear end mechanic at McLaren. So is he the front end mechanic at the Rudine car now, or the rear end mechanic?
I think it's the car chief, man. The car chief's got.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I figured I would double check and make sure, but. Hey, we talked about him for a brief moment at the beginning of this, and that was Levi Hillier, your, I guess you can call him teammate, right? And you raced with him a little bit at Central Arizona. You won a couple races over there. I think he ran second one night, right? You guys kind of swept the first two positions. What can you tell us about him, if much? I'm not sure if you talked to him and hung out with him very much or not, but we hear about a lot of these young guys that are coming up. Jet Barnes has been making some noise, of course. Austin Wood, we saw him debut with High Limit at Las Vegas. Buddy Schweibens out in Pennsylvania. A lot of young guys coming up, but now we got this guy from the Northwest and Levi Hillier, and of course Kevin Rudine is throwing everything at him to give him the most success he possibly can. What can you tell us about him? Do you think that he could be a potential, superstar in the making here?
Well, so like to be fair, I really didn't know. I mean, I knew his dad, right? Like I remember Chad Hillier racing back in the day, but I didn't know any of them. And like I get hired on a Rudine. I really didn't understand that there was another Rudine team kind of out west. Like I really didn't understand that. I didn't know anything about it. Like I saw that he was running like a 26 car had Rudine on the side of it. But again, I didn't put two and two together. Like, it just never really clicked. But being out there a couple times last year, like we went out to Skagit for Dirt Cup, and went out there obviously with the high limit stuff, and like we worked out of their shop for a little bit of it. But it's a super nice family. Like, and I also didn't really understand how young he was either, because I mean, even now he's still only 15 years old. Like, I just didn't know anything about him, right? But he was cool, man. Like, he helped us on our car, and he was around. Like, we'd talk about Skagit. He'd kind of give me pointers on, like, okay, well, you can do this here, or don't try to do this now. Like, the track's transition in this way. Oh, I'm seeing this. This might be this, right? Or like, even just something as simple as I'm getting ready to go qualifying for Dirt Cup right out of the infield, and he's like giving me his phone so I could watch it. My phone didn't have any service, but he thought about it far enough ahead that he made sure his phone was going to be able to work, and he hooked up to the track Wi-Fi for me so I can watch qualifying. So, I mean, the kid's pretty sharp. Like, he's pretty on it. And then he came out to Knoxville last year, and like, he's just ate up, man. He just wants to go racing. Like, he got in, we're getting ready to fire up. We got a new engine from Ford, right? Like, like the day before our prelim night of the Nationals, and he was, yeah, he was over there before I was. You know what I mean? Like, he was at the trailer before I ever even got there, and he's like all excited. I'm like, Levi, you want to get this thing and fired up? Oh, hell yeah! Can I borrow your helmet? Can I borrow your helmet? Yeah, here you go, dude. Go get in that thing and fire it up. You know, he comes back with his big old grin on his face, because I'm assuming he's probably never fired a 410 before. But yeah, like I say, he just ate up, man. And then then we go to Central Arizona, and we get to race against each other. And we really weren't around each other very much until the last night. Like, he ended up winning the last night we were there, and I ended up running second to him. But like, he started on the front row. He drove a good race. I got to him in traffic, and like, he kind of screwed up off of, like, we were dicing through traffic. Like, traffic was everywhere, and he like kind of screwed up coming off of two and just kind of hung it in the slick. And I got this big old run on him. But he like played it smart enough. He like used the lap car as a pick. I don't know if he knew I was coming or if it was just like chance. Like, he knew he screwed up and had to get down and block somebody. But that move ultimately ended up winning the race. So he kind of, I mean, he's pretty smart for how young he is. He's got some racecraft to him. So I'm sure when we see him in a 410, it won't take him too long. He'll be up to speed pretty quick.
I want to ask about something, pretty recent here, and that was our most recent race at Route 66 in Amarillo, Texas. Like I said, when you and Travis and I were standing there talking, we were doing everything we could, holding on to trailers and, laying down flat so the air and the wind wouldn't get underneath us. You told me, you said, because earlier in the day, we weren't even sure I was going to go into the infield because, they were afraid I'd blow away. I'm so thin and fragile. And you told me, you were like, well, hey, if you don't go to the infield, you should go to the outside of like 3 or the end of the front straightaway on the outside of 1. And you were like, you got to watch how much we're going to get pushed down or pushed up, because the wind was kind of coming right across the, blowing across the back straightaway and the front straightaway. So it would really push you guys up on your entry to 1 or grab that left side board and pull you down on their entry to 3. So I'm dying to know what it feels like when you're in a windstorm like that one in Amarillo and you got that big wing on top. What is it like to drive a sprint car, a winged sprint car in those conditions? What was it like that night in Amarillo? Can you do anything to kind of combat it? What is it like when wind is just howling and you're out there on track?
Well, I mean, I've done it long enough, right? So like, I kind of used to it. It's hard to ever get really completely used to it, but I've just been in those situations before. So it's a little easier to kind of understand it and control it once you've done it a couple of times. But, like, yeah, like I said, so getting down, so like you said, it was almost coming across. So like when you were going down the front stretch, like it's basically coming directly at you. And then when you're going down the front stretch, it's like behind you. So it's like pushing you forward almost. But, like once you come out of, like, you come off of 2, and you're driving and you can just feel the thing load, like it's loading the rear bars hard. So you're almost tight. Like, it's just got so much drive in it all of a sudden. The front end's kind of light and the rear end real heavy, like buried in the racetrack. So like you're almost tight getting into 3. But it's like as soon as you get the board opened up, like as soon as that wing like kind of like cocks a little bit, like all that air is just pushing on that sideboard. So it's like we'd all try to like roll up high, get into 3. Because you knew as soon as you open that board up, it's going to yank you down to the infield tires. And you can almost kind of see that with the way the track wore out. Like, you could see that we were all running up the hill almost get into 3. But by the time you came off 4, the exit was super low. And then it was almost the opposite then getting into 1 and 2. Like, it was pretty wore out all the way across the whole thing, because like as soon as you'd get in the corner, like it would almost like lift you up. like the left rear, it would almost get to the point where like the left rear would lift up because now the board, instead of the board being flat, like going down the straightaway, it's like caught looking right at the wind, and it's just pushing the left sideboard like to the right. So you're like getting up across it, and like the left rear almost picks up on entry, and you get the thing like pinned. Well, now all of a sudden you start coming back across the racetrack on the exit because now like your board's opened up, right? So like the more that board opens towards that air, it's like yanking you back left. So like you're almost getting pushed across the racetrack, and then right when you get out of the corner, it like wings back over and like sucks you back down the racetrack a little bit. So it kind of, I didn't think it was going to race that good for that reason, but I guess I was wrong because it actually put on a pretty good race come feature time. And even like by the end, I don't know about the first couple of heat races, but like I was in the last heat race, I was able to pass Persley right at the end of that race. And I don't know if the wind picked up or if the wind died down, but like the first part of that heat race, like he kind of got away from me a little bit. Well, by the end of it, I reeled him back in and was able to pass him. So the wind must have changed because he was good and then he wasn't, and I wasn't, and then I was good. So something happened there and our cars kind of came to life. But yeah, I don't know. Did you actually get a chance to see that, Tony? Did you get to stand outside?
No, we ended up deciding I'd go down into the infield. All we skipped that night was the wheel. But I mean, it was still a little evident from down in the infield, but I believed you and I trusted you when you were like, you got to watch him coming down the straightaway and then turning that left-hander because the wind would just catch the board. So no, I didn't get to, but I'd love to get the chance if we go somewhere where maybe the work area is on the outside or something like that, because I'm sure it's crazy to see.
Well, even like on the video, so like, yeah, I went back and watched the video, and I could kind of feel it, but it's a little different seeing it and then feeling it. Like, watch this video, like you can see it like on flow. Like you get in and the car was flat or almost like kind of, I don't want to say rolled up, but like it was almost flat getting into one. Well, by the time you came off of two and you're going down the backstretch, like that thing is full winged over. You get into three, the thing is locked on the left rear, it's locked on the left front by the time you open the board back up, and then you come off of four and your left sides are back up. Like you almost picked back up and went to the right rear. And it's all just based off the way the wind's flowing.
Yeah.
I think we need to clip that and start the Justin Peck How to Drive a Sprint Car in the Wind tutorial. That's the first segment right there. So very, very good. Yeah, I wanted to mention this because you talked about it there for a second, but I did nominate you as the 5-Star Bodies Move of the Month when you passed Persley on the last lap. Unfortunately, the fans did not think that was the winner. I did nominate it, so we'll leave it at that. But I want to go back to last year. You had two incredible runs that I felt like were overshadowed by the guys that won, right? The Skagit Nationals, you were leading that race. You end up second. You get close to winning a $100,000 to win race. Everybody forgets about it because Rico swept the weekend, right? The very next weekend, we go to Port Royal for the Tuscarora 50. You're leading that race again, another big paying race. Ryan Timms wins. Of course, he's the Knoxville Nationals winner. Everybody forgets who ran second in that one. I think I said it somewhere. I don't know if it was on this show or if it was on my YouTube show or whatever it was, but I said that I think that you are an underdog for getting one of these big wins this year. Everybody talks about all these guys, Gravel and Rico and Reitzel and all these guys that are going to win these big races. I do think that you have a chance. I mean, we saw how close you were last year at the Skagit Nationals, the Tuscarora 50. You've ran incredibly well at the Kings Royal in the past. I think you were top 10 at the Knoxville Nationals last year. Do you think and do you feel as good at these big races that are coming up this year that you have a chance to win?
Yeah, I think, for whatever reason, it just seems like really, if you count this year, I'm going to say the last 3 years, I just don't start out the year very well. For whatever reason that may be, I don't know. I'm going to say that in 24, like with 13 car, like we changed some engine stuff. We lost a crew guy. Like it just takes time to gel again. And by a halfway point in the year, we're pretty fast again and we're consistently fast. And it's like, okay, cool. We run third at Kings Royal, win a race in Eldora later in the year. You qualify good, you run good at Knoxville, like just, do good at National Open. So, and same deal last year. Like I've come to a brand new team, new stuff I've never run before, working with guys never worked with before, not good at the beginning of the year. By the midpoint of the year, you're good, right? And then you're fast and you're getting stuff going. And I feel like this year's probably going to be the same, just changing guys and changing engines and all that stuff. All that stuff just means so much. But no, I feel like by midpoint of the year, I feel like you just get in that mid-season form. Everything's kind of dialed in. You have a good understanding of what you're working with. You kind of have a little bit more confidence in yourself. And I like all the big races. Like my favorite race of the year is Kings Royal. I love Eldora. Knoxville is obviously a big race, and going Skagit, the pressure's on because you're driving for the guy that owns Skagit. So I don't know. I think some of it is I've had the experience at a lot of these places. I've run a lot of races at them, so I feel like pretty good at some of these tracks, like good enough to where I can show up and contend for a W, or at least contend for running really well or being in the mix at some point. I just got, like I said, just have a good understanding of kind of what you got to do with your race car. Like I think we could go into Eldora and have a realistic shot at winning Kings Row. I feel that way every year. I tend to qualify well there, which helps a lot. Getting the start up front and kind of be in contention early. Knoxville, we've made Knoxville Nationals the last 5 or 6 years in a row, so I feel good there. I know the 26 is really fast as Skagit. They've won with other drivers in the past, and we were close at winning. I think I ran second 3 times at Skagit last year. So I'm looking forward to it. I think we could definitely pull off a couple W's in some big races, but all that starts with just finding consistency early in the year and kind of carrying it on to there and just kind of fine tuning your stuff. So my main focus is on the next one, right? And then just trying to kind of dig ourselves out of a little bit of hole we put ourselves into with the high limit points, the point season. So just try to get as many wins as you can, and all that stuff falls into place, man. If you've got a fast race car and the driver doesn't make any mistakes and he runs good laps, then you'll be in contention to win any night.
I think you're back home in Indy right now, Justin. Is that correct?
Yep.
So it's warming up here a little bit. It's kind of like sunny, bright, good-looking days. Still a little bit of like chill in the air, but it's getting warmer. So, as one man of class to another, I have to know: have you gotten out on the water? Have you wet a line? Are you going after any of those trophy largemouth bass I get Snapchats of you catching all summer long? Have you gotten a chance to get out onto the water yet?
So I haven't actually caught anything that great here in Indiana. I have fished a little bit, but not too much. I did, however, catch like a 6-pounder at Lake Havasu while we were there in Arizona. So I was pretty proud about that one. But no, I haven't gotten too much opportunity here just because it really hadn't been that great. It seems like it's been 1,000 winds every day since we've been home. So it's like I try to cast it to the left and somehow it ends up way far right. So that doesn't help at all, or I get hung in a tree. But I took advantage of the warmer weather and definitely fished a little bit.
Good.
Seems like you can maybe drive a sprint car better in the wind than maybe throw a fishing line, I guess.
Whoa. Those are fighting words where I come from.
Okay. Well, Justin, I'll leave you with this final question. Upcoming, I believe later this month, we have a new addition to the high limit schedule. And it's at maybe one of your favorite racetracks. Maybe it is your favorite racetrack. The doubleheader, the Brian Clausen Hero Classic, presented by Driven to Save Lives. We don't need to talk about what happened at Kokomo last year. We don't need to, but you've won there before with High Limit, of course. But how exciting is that race? A doubleheader at Kokomo. People they've been on their hands and knees praying for that, right? For a Wing 410 Series B there 2 nights in a row. Going to be a great field, and it's going to be a great event. I know you're from Indiana. Brian Clausen was from Indiana as well. From California. Then he moved, obviously, to Indiana. But how excited are you for that event coming up later on?
Well, I can tell you, when I was looking at the schedule, that to me, that was the best addition to the schedule, man. That was the thing I was most excited about. Was I'm sitting here looking at him going, holy crap, we go to Kokomo 3 times. Like, this is awesome. So I'm pumped about it. I think back-to-back, like a doubleheader at Kokomo is badass. Like, I think that's going to be really big. I think we'll tap the stands. We're going to put on great racing because Kokomo always puts on good racing. High Limit always puts on good racing. So I don't know if you can really lose, right? As a race fan, I don't think you're losing. As a driver, I don't think you're losing. As a team, I don't think you're losing. I think everybody's going to be happy. Hopefully we just sweep all 3 of them. Hopefully I can lead 30 laps this year, not 29 3/4. That'd be cool. Hopefully we do that every night.
Man, that sounded like a promo right there. Cut that audio right there of Justin Peck going, Kokomo puts on great racing, High Limit puts on great racing, you just can't lose. That's Kokomo's new commercial right there, I think.
I'll tell you, favorite racetrack in the country. It has been for a long time, and I don't think that's ever going to change.
Yeah, scrap, get your ass to Kokomo. Whatever Justin Peck just said, that's the new slogan.
Yeah.
I messed up. That's in May, so we're about a month away from that. But still, you can never be talking about it too early, right? I mean, everybody loves Kokomo. Driven to Save Lives, Brian Clausen Hero Classic. Looking forward to that one. Well, Justin, actually, real quick before I let you go, are you guys gonna be racing anytime between now and when we get back to going Lakeside? I know the Outlaws are at I-55 this upcoming weekend. Are you guys racing anywhere?
Yeah, So we were just talking about that before I left the shop earlier. I don't know where we're going this weekend. Like our original plan is to go to Peebly. The weather's not looking 100% there. Like there is chances of rain and stuff. However, Williams Grove races Friday, Port Royal races Saturday, and it doesn't look like any rain. So we're going somewhere. It's just a matter of how the weather looks.
All right, well, wherever you guys end up, good luck this weekend, and we'll see you at Lakeside Speedway and then Lucas Oil here in about a week or so, week and a half's time. Justin, thanks for jumping on here, man. Great to hear from you. And like I said, good luck this weekend.
Yep, thanks, fellas.